did receive a level 3 penalty. We're not exactly sure as to why, but we were informed of that, which means they only have 20 seconds of reserve time here in game number 2. And that's, I mean, that is a big deal.
Yeah, TikTok, don't waste any of it. It is a pretty rough one as well. Like, especially if Hokori optimized this correctly. Like, before the first picks come out, like, if you really wanted to exploit this, you could try to prep your first 3 fours with minimum deviation, so you just quick spam them. At that stage, RNG are going to struggle to correctly find the solution in just 20 seconds with so many heroes in the game. But man, let's not ignore the important detail, Breaky. We finally done it. We finally got to cast a 60-minute plus game. And it was a close one. Such a close. Like, RNG, make no mistake, Hokori were ahead, right? They looked dominant, but you could always see the way RNG could find their way back, which is why I'm excited for what I expect to be another very close game. Especially when RNG do this. They open up with the Broodmother, Hokori with plenty of picks to try and counter this.
Even it is again talking about the fact that they only have 20 seconds reserve time. So I gotta say, I don't know if I expected the Broodmother opening to happen for RNG. Knowing that, you figured they would have gone maybe a little more traditional with an opening, but no, not the case. Especially with heroes like Primal Beast, for example, on the board. But they go the Broodmother, and immediately, not really immediately, a little bit of time, but Pango does eventually come out for Hokori. Already a decent answer to the Broodmother in the Pango pick.
Yeah, and they're like, please, come pick Bloodseeker again. Let's see how that works out for you this time. Because you already picked the Broodmother. That should be one of your cores gone. You're going to make him carry again? Like, they're kind of just forcing the choice out of RNG now. Oh, wait, they banned. So they banned it out. I'm kind of surprised. I felt like Hokori found a good solution to the Bloodseeker last game, but maybe they just want that opportunity to pop off, right? Like, if you think of how the early game went, I think that's what made it feel so tight, is that for Hokori, it was more or less, what does the SF do? Because everything else can't do anything.
5 seconds remaining.
I'm going to see as far as the bans to follow now. Yeah, Hokori taking away the Bloodseeker, of course, a factor last game for RNG. That was picked up, and not going to want to deal with it here. And naturally, they do have the Pango, as you're talking about. So, Queen of Pain, though, the follow-up to that. Yeah, as far as RNG, you know, who do they ban to help protect this Broodmother a little bit more? Like we talked about, though, you already got the Pango. Mentioned the Primal Beast still on the board, and so is Tiny. That's another hero that would certainly feel like has to be addressed here with these bans. And if not, definitely high pick value.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking what RNG want to do with this like Brood, like how you can get the most space out of it. Because usually when you draft this early, you're trying to force your opponent to react to it. Pangle is a start, but to really justify this, you want to see 1 or 2 more picks targeted at it. Part of me feels like RNG done this intentionally to try and make up for the lack of reserve time, because if you're able to set the tempo with the opening picks, your opponents rush to respond to those initial picks, and it gives you more freedom to quickly gel together the rest of your lineup.
Sort of looking at those stats as far as pairing with the Broodmother, and the top pairings are Undying, Shadow Fiend. Obviously, neither one of those are possible. Hoodwink would be the next list. Hoodwink and a Jakiro. There's a couple of heroes that have been ran with the Brood, and to decent success with the 2-1 record. In fact, Leshrac also on there, of course. Yeah, he's still available too. So
I was about to say, like, I was about to say no Lesh there, because I think Lesh works really well. It's just naturally the way the 2 heroes start to pressure lanes, it's very difficult to stop, right? It just comes fluidly from the way these heroes scale. To the earlier idea of Hoodwink, I quite like that. I don't think I've seen RNG run much Hoodwink, but the cool thing about Hoodwink is when you pick these offlaners that become independent, the best people to pair with them are supports that can go do things elsewhere. Hoodwink is a gank and spanker, low cooldown across the board and a lot of burst damage. Compare it to things like Shaker, where they are actually happy when they're able to leave the lane to get more done elsewhere.
Well, the final ban to come for RNG before they go with what will be their 3rd pick. So, Hoodwink, one of those options. Magnus ban. That's an interesting one. That is not a hero we're really seeing at this event.
I mean, it's not bad against the Brood,
though.
Yeah, but more importantly, I think it's an SA-specific ban. Like, we've seen beastcoast run Magnus drafts before. I wouldn't be surprised if Hokori have done 1 or 2. I think it's a hero that's still relatively popular in the region, not so much in other ones. So, opening up this phase, RNG likely to lock in their support and then come back with probably Somnus' hero. And I love this. The Bane, actually incredibly impactful. Great counter to the Pangolier. And we watched Aster run this yesterday. The final series up against Beast Coast, Siamese Sea had one of the standout performances of the group stage so far as a POS 5 Bane. This hero is slept on. I think he's only been played maybe less than 5 times in the group stage.
But
every time I see him, he looks dominant.
5 seconds.
Yeah, well, it's even further to that point. Yeah, you were right on the nail with 5 games. 3 of those 5 games were against a Pango, and he's 3-0. All 3 of the wins up against the Pango. So, yeah, natural counter, similar to the Bloodseeker idea. Now, to be fair, we said that with Bloodseeker, and sure enough, Hokori was able to pull through the victory for obviously other reasons too, but it doesn't make it impossible. But you're addressing the Pango certainly with that pick there.
Yeah, so the issue, like in comparison, right, is the Bloodseeker was them committing their carry to the counter, and thus they removed their ceiling. They basically stopped themselves from scaling as well, and you saw that as the game went on, where Hokori, it became more, what do we do to enable Lumiere? Well, RNG were like, I need all these heroes to do things. And looks like we are going to get to see the Hoodwink. It is, of course, now, as a result, going to come out on the side of Hokori instead, considering RNG already have their 2 supports. And I actually quite like this. I think Hoodwink is a good ambushing type hero, and you need to be able to catch Broodmother off from afar. Another cool thing about Hoodwink, she's the type of hero that can go to a dangerous area of the map and shove it out quite safely. The amount of times I watch teams chase a Hoodwink for a minute and still not get her, and everyone's just left face palming, I've lost count. It's ridiculous.
It is. So, yeah, Hoodwink definitely feels great. I love the Titan, though. Again, it's just kind of yet another tool for that Broodmother, as we were talking about. Void Spirit, as they do start dipping into that 20 seconds of reserve time that they had finally. RNG, again, reminder, they've had to pick very quick. But, yeah, only 6 seconds, but still. But, yeah, they're confident with the Void Spirit pickup, though, in that 4th spot.
I think the discussion was like, how do we catch these more frustrating heroes like the Pangolier, like the Hoodwink? And it's a decent answer to it. They don't necessarily have the cleanest way of killing the Tombstone if Snapfire's nearby, but Snapfire should always be able to get in range, which is why they've given no more notice to the Undying. Void Spirit isn't the worst idea if you're looking to just stop the Hoodwink altogether. Obviously, you know, you're not just going to invest the Void Spirit to stop a support. This is still going to be a decent lane against the Pangolier and one that can rotate just as much. But I like the fact that they found a way of finding something that can hunt Hoodwink without being one of these drafts that overcommits to finding the squirrel.
Primal Beast is still on the board, but neither team likely to pick him up at this point because of what both teams really need, that safe lane hero, you'd assume. And safe lane Primal Beast, although possible, is probably not the direction.
Is that the new direction for TI that we're looking for? Yes, just the Primal Beast boss one. Why not? We might as well go there. Yeah, unlikely that we see it. Even though it's a hero that can farm really fast and stack camps, you know, and then clear them, it doesn't give you that high ceiling we talked about. I think most of the successful drafts we've seen at TI, even though they find ways of getting these high ceiling heroes involved early, they're still a hero that can scale incredibly into the late game. You've been seeing that with these SF drafts especially. Obviously we won't see them in this game, but you know, think more akin to things like Lifestealer comes to mind. Bloodseeker has kind of a weird pivot point, so maybe that could have worked for RNG last game. Obviously not this one because it's banned. I do like the Sven ban from RNG though. It's just a natural way of eventually dealing with the Brood, and it's another SA favorite.
I'm kind of starting to go through more and more of list of potential carry pickups. Lone Druid is still on the board. And
yeah, China likes that a lot.
Yeah. Well, I think Hokori could also use the Lone Druid themselves.
It fixes the push issue, right? So I don't mind the idea. I just don't know if you want to play Lone Druid against these heroes. Like, you can interrupt the Bane's Fiend Script more easily because you have another hero with a stun, right? Like, you've got the bear and then you've got the bear. Just thinking on the lane, like, I don't think you pressure the Broodmother much, and I think you kind of lack clear ways of denying the Brood. Do love the TA pick. I think, like, Hokori could have ran something like a safe lane TA or maybe flexed, like, the Pango's positioning, but I just want to see someone with scalability. And so far, these final bans on both sides make sense because, like, those 4 picks all go into the late game comfortably.
You want scalability? Decent against Broodmother as well. Let's go Legion Commander. Infinite scalability over for Hokori. Let's go. Let's pick it up. We're going. Game number 2. No.
Yeah, all of a sudden, Hokori have no more fans. They've all gone back to Beast Coast at that point. The Legion's a big oof, especially in a game with Bane. So Instead, it's going to be the Snack Lady. Can do reasonably on the lane against Broodmother. It gives that scalability we talked about. And when you look at the heroes around it, like this is a 4 protect 1 strike type strategy. It's all meant to be on the Medusa in the late game. I want to see RNG's response. You know, we've seen some anti-mage from the Chinese teams before. I think the Chinese teams are the only ones to actually pick anti-mage so far with 1 game, 1 win. It is one of the classic counters, but you would be picking it into Hoodwink. Yeah, and they pick it in the Hoodwink.
Yeah, well, it's Hoodwink, sure, but I was just thinking, I mean, overall, there isn't the most lockdown from Hokori's side. It's also evasive lockdown, right? The Rolling Thunder and even the Talon Rampage, you can ideally predict it if it possibly happening. So I can see why the Anti-Mage is just so tempting here, especially with that Medusa final pick.
So the only thing that spooks me a little is something to keep in mind with Hoodwink. As a filthy Hoodwink spammer, I can guarantee you it works this way. Every time I see an anti-mage, I've got a smile on my face because the break applies before the damage, so you get maximum burst when you hit him with the sharpshooter. And then, of course, you're talking about an anti-mage that's broken against a lineup that has 4 heroes that dish out a decent amount of magical damage. So it could be a spooky start. I think if Raw Never Give Up can get past the initial phase of the game, anti-mage can come into his own. It's a great matchup against the Medusa later on. I'm just very fearful of how this game begins. I've got a big question mark on whether Somnus is going to be able to do enough in the first 20 to 25 minutes with a Void Spirit. I think what's going to come down to is what Chalice can do instead. If this Broodmother can soak up a lot of the map and draw attention, then Anti-Mage gets his game. But if Hokori play fast aggressive and they're everywhere at once, I struggle to see a world in which Ghost gets farm.
We'll say RNG, the only team to pick up the Anti-Mage so far in this event. I believe, yeah, it's the one that we did cast earlier, and it was, of course, a victory for them. On the other side, Medusa has only been seen twice so far this event and is 0-2. Take that as you will. Of course, again, this is the Anti-Mage versus the Medusa matchup here, and obviously Anti-Mage in that individual matchup on paper does win it, so it's understandable why they win it. But so much more to factor in, and yeah, I like what you're saying about the Broodmother. Going to be the key, as it usually is, especially in that second pick spot. You need to have that Broodmother have a successful game, despite knowing that you're likely going to get a bit of counter. Because that was even a second pick Broodmother with it was a third pick Broodmother, right? In the sense that there was still a reaction to be had by Hokiro, but before they even went to the banning phase, and that's where the Pango came out. So it's not going to be easy for Chalice.
Yeah, we do get the El Clasico matchup of the Medusa versus the Anti-Mage as a result of that. And, you know, we said that the idea of this Brood was it was going to try to create space for something else. It was going to be this vacuum of distraction so that something else could exist in the game. And it makes sense, the Anti-Mage. I just think, like, something that's maybe slept on a lot is the impact a Hoodwink has in this matchup. Like, yeah, you know, the Anti-Mage can chase some tail. If he sees you, you're insta-dead. But the cool thing about playing Hoodwink is you have so much range for initiation, especially with a typical Aether Lens build. So I think this is a game of jump or get jumped. And I think what could really be the saving grace for RNG is X-Nova. This Bane, to me, has been a standout support pick so far. Not picked that much, but incredibly impactful when it appears. Yeah, and it makes sense here, absolutely. So Bane going to be involved in a little bit of a clash at the bottom room. Both runes, in fact, having a bit of back and forth. X-Nova, he's going to be fine, but getting low. Yeah, it's one of those awkward ones where you can't harass the Pangolier because his shield crashed, and the other hero is ranged, and also the Acorn shot just adds a lot of damage in while controlling you. 3 runes go in the way of Hokori to open up, so nice start for them. And a nice little bit of harassment back and forth. You can see on the bot lane, Vitaly has already started with double Mango, as you should, which means that after this initial harassment is experienced, the pain should be less coming from the Anti-Mage. Support's not here yet, so Ghost is going to walk right up, burn the rest of that mana for the Tidehunter. He's got a couple of mangoes, of course, but here comes Bushwhack, and so will Bane as he TPs in after regenerating. Got the 3 different lanes, though, you see on your screen. That mid matchup, Pango versus the Void Spirit. Void Spirit having that level 1 Resonant Pulse, of course. Going to use that against Pango, as that's a courier kill. Kaka's courier going out. So the thing about this mid lane is it's interesting when you think of the dynamics with a Pangolier. Like, he has this way of reducing damage he's taking. He also has a composite damage of physical and magical. That's why I think both spirit types work reasonably well, because you're kind of offsetting half of what the Pangolier does. As an Ember Spirit, you offset the magical damage, and as a Void Spirit, you offset the physical damage with the pulse. So I think Somnus should have a comfortable lane, but the issue is how does he make Analog uncomfortable?
He's definitely keeping his distance. Gardic, of course, doing what he can. Up the top lane. Well, excuse me, you were talking about the mid lane. Apologize.
Oh yeah, the mid lane. Yeah.
Looking at the top lane, though, we do see Anti-Mage, or excuse me, more so Medusa. I'm all over the place. It's been a long event. A lot of webs, though. A lot of
There
webs
are
lanes.
lanes.
There are lanes. Yes, that's what we're talking about. Lanes. No, but I've been noticing this up here at the top lane. And speaking of that, I've been watching it, and yeah, Medusa's 8-1 right now. It seems like he's been having a pretty brief time, thanks to Gardic, is what I was going to get at. But they're kind of just lane pulling from one another. And Chalice is also getting its decent CS.
Yeah, Gardic isn't on that scalable hero in terms of annoyance like the Clockwork this game around. It is going to be Undying. Definitely going to be an annoying hero, but if we get to that late game, it's very difficult for an Undying to position correctly. At least from what we've been seeing the POS 5 ones so far this event. But we'll have a lot more pressure early on. And then this just goes to that idea, you know, the difference here is not meant to make kills happen, not meant to necessarily make these flashy plays. He's just meant to give Lumiere a free lane. And if there's anything that people tell you about an Undying, when you pick as a support, you tell your carry, I'm picking this so you have a game. Full stop.
Yeah. And again, so far, certainly having that Undying, a couple more mangoes even to use. Keep that decay spam going up, but mid lane matchup, as we kind of seen that trend of Pango a little bit behind in the CS against his opponent. So on this 15-0, Pango 10-4.
Yeah, I kind of like the Void Spirit slightly better than the Ember, just because you have a little bit more instant burst damage with the Resonant Pulse, the way it interacts compared to a Flame Guard, and also I think you're just a much easier hero to right-click walk with, even after the movement speed nerfs, so I'm not surprised he's coming out ahead slightly. Cool thing about this bot lane, by the way, like all the trees got cut down, so you see how much harder it is now for Fiora to make any plays. Ghost is going to be less pressured, and especially with the assistance of X-Nova, I feel like this is comparatively Undying idea. Like, I am picking this hero, so you have a free lane.
Yeah, Vitaly is going to run it up every time Bane gets close and pop that Anchor Smash. Top lane, Tombstone committed. That quick scatter blast and gonna slow them down. Yeah, so I didn't think that was gonna necessarily be a
lane.
Yeah, Vitaly is gonna run it up every time Bane gets close and pop that Anchor Smash. Top lane, Tombstone committed. That quick scatter blast and gonna slow them down. Yeah, so I didn't think that was gonna necessarily be a kill, but the lane was pushing up as well, so makes a little bit more sense. I mean, the Tombstone probably gonna live long enough to not be killed by the opposition. We'll see.
Yeah, so the other part of that typical statement that the Undying makes is, I'm picking this hero so you can have a game, followed up by, why couldn't you have picked a hero that has a stun, though? Because we can kill a lot in this lane. It's always the feeling when you have a Medusa, like, you don't expect the other side to lose heroes. Your goal is simply to make sure that the Medusa gets farm, and so far he's ticking that box, third in the CS charts.
Yeah.
Did not catch you littering, bro.
Ghost down here at the bottom is actually managing very good CS. It feels like, especially with Tidehunter, you're usually one of those heroes. You talked about removing a lot of the trees, though, so Hodawink isn't necessarily able to do as much as you'd hope for. X-Nova, I mean, just see how aggressive Bane is playing at this bottom lane. Of course, he's got Brain Sap, one of the best trading supports in the game. But speaking of trading, Chalice gets a kill, and it might not even be a trade. They might get both. Lumi, he's just dead.
Wow, that type of dive. Wow. Very impactful from RNG. Just noticing that they're playing a little bit low HP on the Undying, and he's running out of mana. In fact, if you look at Undying's inventory, he dies empty. Had nothing left to contribute. He bled himself dry in that top lane. Great patience coming out from RNG, and we see the beginning of the snowball effect we were worried about. Chalice, if RNG want the space with his anti-mage, Brood needs to be off to a good start, and it doesn't get much better than that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Love to see that if you're an RNG fan. And Chalice I don't know about doing combat here. I mean, he's going to throw the Tombstone down, but Chalice, okay, it's going to take a little bit too long, and he's realizing with the Tombstone down, he's going to have to retreat from that. That seems Gardic is not afraid to man up here, that's for sure.
There's still a wand on Chalice, so he should be fine, but you can see how confident he feels, like even up against a bully like Undying. And this is early on. This gets more spooky with Insatiable Hunger being leveled into. Like, once you get 2 or 3 points in this, it feels like Gardic has to run every time.
Zombies made it a little bit threatening for Chalice, but he is fine. They ain't gonna get regen. He'll be good to go. Bane, people at the bottom rune spot. Double damage was top. He's trying to buy time for his teammate. Rolling Thunder knocked him over the edge though, and he is good to go. Great positioning. We've seen that before. You're going to get Rolling Thunder on. Get next to that cliff. Get uphill.
Kaka?
Radiant's top tower is
I mean,
under
Kaka's
attack.
done. There's no way he gets out of this. Lumia will get the kill, and Chalice is also gone as well. He hung around. They got greedy. They thought they could get the deuce, and they paid the price.
Huh. The yellow core also fallen though. Double damage sports, Void Spirit. So a lot of kills taking place.
Yeah, he gets the
As we
hoodwinkle.
get 6.
Yeah, he did use both Astral Steps though, which is it's a bit annoying. Usually you want to keep one in reserve in case it's a gank. The nice thing for Somnus in this game is like you're not up against a ganking combo. The Hoodwink can come, but if Hokori bring all 3 heroes to the mid lane, right, both supports, the Undying hasn't got an extra stun to lock you down. So pretty safe game to just spam Astral Step in.
I'll say,
Uh-oh.
Picking a mid lane, Void Spirit. She'll crash in.
He's fine.
Got that Resonant Pulse though, level 4, so yeah, he's good to go. Tanky enough.
It's also he has Astral Step again. Like if they made this play when he doesn't have Step, I'm concerned because if you look, he hasn't got a single point to
Radiant's
simulate
top
yet.
tower is under
So that's a
attack.
very threatening situation to be in. But yeah, this is the type of gank that will always work once you have 6 on Feel the Core. So why I like that he's parking till mid now. Just let Hoodwink get the XP and Analog go do some activities. You have got Rolling Thunder off cooldown.
So going back to the top lane though again, Medusa, she's looking very good. We mentioned how Chalice doing pretty good on the Broodmother, specifically after that double kill happened as they dove the tower, but then getting double killed against you, and Lumi's been having great CS, translates into this top net worth for the Medusa currently. So yeah, Lumi doing what he needs to be doing for Hokori.
Yeah, despite the death, like it's kind of wacky when you look at the net worth as well. 'Cause, you know, you expected Chalice to make space. He's struggling. Tide is ahead of him. And then there's still Ghosts
Radiant's middle tower
failing
is
to
under
really
attack.
get ahead. You know, Anti-Mage hasn't died in this lane, but hasn't been made easy either. Anytime he lets Vitaly get an Anchor Smash out is a time that he's going to struggle to get his own creep score up.
Yeah, Medusa just in the jungle currently. Has
Oh,
levels to be had for Gardic, but
Oh, no.
Gardic is by himself as we mentioned this, and they're going to understand that that's the case. So that's the Dead
that.
Undying, Tombstone, and I don't know about that.
Somnus just found Lumiere on low mana.
Is under attack.
He can die here. Good thing Pango came in. Like, genuinely, he could die there. Mana was running out. There was still a remnant to work with, so good quick rotation out of Analog to make sure they don't lose their core.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Yeah, he's still going to
Dire's top
harass
tower is
Analog
under
quite a
attack.
bit, but yeah, definitely no kill coming from this. So Medusa, she's good. Now on the low ground, continuing her jungle. In fact, going to do a stack here. As Pango's going to make his way top, though, now and try to deal with Chalice on the Broodmother.
Yeah, someone
Push him
has
away.
to. Like, if these towers start to fall, like there's a knock-on effect. So Medusa needs the jungle, but if this tower goes down, Chalice moves into the jungle as well, so you aren't safe anymore. Chalice is diving. Analog. Oh, the remnant too late. So Rolling Thunder will come out. Bushwhack is going to connect as well. So Chalice stuck next to a wall, the worst place to be up against the Pango.
Oh, nice kills by Somnus there. Take a jungle stack, but still losing his teammate in Chalice nearby. Yeah, great rotation, and specifically the Pango able to get the Rolling Thunder off. Like you said, next to the wall, not where you want to be for the Broodmother, so he's going to have to wait to resurrect, come back in. I mean, this transition's been great. As you pointed out, they needed somebody to keep that Broodmother in check, especially with Lumi going into the jungle, as he's over here now. And Pango really is the perfect hero for it. That's why they drafted him after all. Vitaly, though, he's dead. Mana Void.
Yeah, I'm
Mana's gone.
impressed. I'm actually impressed that was enough in the end. It looked like he was just going to walk it off, but they were relentless. Also, check this build on Ghost. Goes in for the Vanguard early, so not just naked rushing the Battle Fury. I like this choice. It allows you to actually be somewhat present. I think there's this overwhelming threat to Hokori's heroes, like Ravage, Tombstone, Pangolier. Like, you just want to be able to, in a very sticky situation, provide for your side, and in the meantime, ensure that they can't gank you.
Yeah. No, makes sense. Can be, of course, transitioned later on as well, but it's just a matter of wanting to bulk up earlier on, so makes a lot of sense there. Pango, Diffusal Blade in the works. That's this Broodmother. Gonna take that Bushwhack from the Hoodwink once again. There is Pango. He comes in with a swashbuckle, the shield crash, and all the Spiderlings are gone. Broodmother not happy.
Yeah, I just love the tree instantly out for Felico. It's like, none of them leave. I hate spiders. He could end up being the bane of their existence soon. I mean, he's almost got level 6, at which stage, you know, if you look at the heroes on RNG, none of them are safe. I think Felico alone, with his burst, would take over, well, over half your HP.
Fiend's Grip is ready. They're smoking in.
Oh, nice move
Gonna be
away.
exposed. But yeah, he's good.
Analog. Oh, no. No, don't walk back for the salve, sir. Okay, that is actually quite fortunate because they could have remnanted into a Fiend's Grip there.
They're gonna hide in the trees, though. They say if you're gonna fight us, you're gonna have to fight us back here. Where definitely we can expect some TPs to come in.
No, they seem hesitant
Dane?
for good reason. X-Nova's around the back. He has vision as well. They see Fiolico.
Tower has fallen.
Pango TP'd out. Fiolico, he's still hanging around. As he mentioned, they see him. They know he's here. They're acting like they don't.
He's not in range. That's the
He's
problem.
gonna
He's
get
not
in
in
range.
range for Nightmare or Fiend's Grip. Instead, he moves towards him and oh
Yeah.
no. He just feeds over the kill in the end, trying to make his escape.
He had a TP, but again, it's easy for us to say that he didn't understand that. They were
He doesn't have
basically
vision.
just waiting for him to move, yeah.
Yeah, you don't necessarily expect that high ground ward, especially when you're side with things like Broodmama, but Hoodwink's a justifiable reason to get these wards in place.
But Medusa still has about 1,000 net worth lead over anyone else in this game right now. Just kind of been sitting over here in the jungle. We've seen her mid lane a couple of times. I mean, Manta style, it's going to come up very quickly. Another couple hundred gold, and she'll have it.
And another game where you get the perfect tier 1 neutral item. Possessed Mask, definitely the one you want as Medusa. More stats, not to mention a cheeky bit of lifesteal, which means you can farm the jungle without any risk whatsoever. You're more or less always going to be full regen. Uh-oh. Oh, no. It wouldn't have been enough. I think he would have got out on 100 HP still, but it's a confidence type thing, right? Like with Mirana arrows, if you start hitting them, you feel good. If you start missing them, you start doubting.
Dire scanned over here, and they are going to... Well, Dying's going to die. Void Spirit, the one that going in first, is Lumi. Stone Gaze Scream. Somnus, though, nice cookie. Keeps him alive on the ledge for the time being, at least. Bane, though, he'll be the victim. Gonna put the sleep on Medusa just before Cock is now running in. So is Ghost. Ghost is here. No mana on the Medusa. Keep that in mind. Mana Void is ready. He's gonna blow up right there. Is it enough, though? It's not. Yes, it is. Medusa goes down, but at what cost for Anti-Mage? Ghost in trouble. He is locked down for the kill. Ravage is ready, and out it comes. Void Spirit. He needs to get away now. Flesh Golem from Gardic, sitting on top of Somnus. Snapfire, though, he's the one that's low, and that's what Tidehunter wants, as well as the Hoodwink. They are going to get it. Dissimilate.
He's got no
Somnus,
steps.
he's still in trouble, though. He does have
no
that
steps.
Resonant Pulse. No steps, though, as mentioned, and he's dead. Killing spree for Analog. So they lose the Medusa, but Hokori is just fine with the Plague.
Dire's top tower
Actually, really good plays there in the end coming out from Hokori. I mean, that looked dicey on RNG's end, the way they opened up, but I felt confident about the midway through that fight. Like, nice, they get out despite the fact they commit all those astral steps. They shouldn't be getting out. But then they just recommit. They go in. You know, the Fiend's Grip baits them into thinking they're safe. They get overwhelmed in the second wave, and I just got to give a lot of credit to Hokori in the way they played that. Like, that was a dicey fight, all things considered, with a Mana Void. The Mana Void should have just ended it right there, but the relentlessness coming out from the SA boys means that they end up coming out ahead of that. When I think about a 1.5k net worth swing in their favor.
Yeah. Thus the net worth lead overall for them. Medusa, she's now bottom lane. They're just running down this anti-mage. Of course, he is going to blink away. It's more of a get out of this lane. This is our now. And they're going to get the tier 1 tower pretty easily. No way that the resistance will come out from RNG. Instead, they're going to push the mid lane, and Pango's there, though, so it's not going to be a free tower kill. But maybe it will be.
Yeah, they don't want to defend it. It's just hit nighttime. If you look at their vision, they are limited in that area. It's way too risky to try and hold, especially when you're parking free heroes bot. You're going to be way too split no matter what you do. Look at this move out of RNG, straight up to top, Analog. He actually rolling thunders, so he's going to yoink all the spiderlings. They're limited in that area. It's way too risky to try and hold, especially when you're parking free heroes bot. You're going to be way too split no matter what you do. Look at this move out of RNG, straight up to top, Analog. He actually rolling thunders, so he's going to yoink all the spiderlings. Look to move away. Now, if he hangs around for the kill, he's going to die here.
Oh!
What?
Awkward.
I mean, they just gave it away with the cookie.
Yeah. He's got a
Okay,
swashbuckle and a shield crash. He's fine, right? Is he fine?
this
There's no
is-
TPs just yet. He actually might be in trouble still, and he is going to go down. Okay.
Oh my. the crazy part about that is that he knew there were teammates nearby because Charles got cookied. I thought that that felt like a slip up because Kaka does that cookie and then Pango should know to just leave because he was trying to time it for the end of Rolling Thunder, but he didn't know exactly when it was going to end. Instead, after he sees the cookie, he hangs around and continues to roll as if anything but his death is going to happen there. So a little bit gluttonous coming out from Pangolier and does get appropriately punished by RNG.
Well, I'm with you. I honestly expected TPs to come in now. I'm not exactly sure what the others are doing. Obviously occupied elsewhere, maybe just TPs run off cooldown, etc. But yeah, both a mix of him, but also just the communication in general with the team. Not necessarily able to port in and save and perhaps set up a turn, but obviously good job for RNG. And that's definitely an important kill to make happen on that Pango. Keep going back to this Medusa though, and with the Manta style, the Eye of Scotty well in the works as well. The ultimate orb, number 1, has been picked up. How's Broodmother doing, by the way? She has her Vlad, so working on the Wraith Pact.
Yeah, almost a Wraith Pact, just 600 gold away. But man, this Scotty is actually infuriating for the Broodmother in this game. You know, usually you can get to a point where you can kind of maybe just stand there and munch on someone on the side of the fight to lifesteal through. You won't be able to do that anymore, not with the Scotty in play. So it becomes a much more difficult state of affairs for this Brood pick. Just feels like you're more or less going to be split pushing for a lot of the game. And, oh, Invasion, Somnus will look for a kill in the Gardic, and we'll be able to finish him off. Tombstone makes sure that they won't hang around though.
Yeah, the gaze being committed.
And they almost got Vayne as well. 90 HP, sharpshooting not quite enough.
Well, the all-important Battle Fury just about online for Anti-Mage, basically has it. I also think the really important item, though, to keep an eye on is that Void Spirit and going the Ag, so that Resonant Pulse is going to be much stronger.
Yeah, did you notice that little frame freeze moment? That's when you know Broodmother's losing all her babies. so like Analog just has enough damage to actually burst the entire creep wave there. Yeah, it just feels like there's never an army. Ravage is going to come out onto the big spider. Chalice stuck on the spot. Diffusal means he can't run away. Pick up the Wraith Pact Totem, and now they'll move straight in for Roshan.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, Roshan's here too. Let's just kill him in the process. I don't even know if that was the intention or not from Hokori from the beginning, but it's gonna be. I mean, Battle Fury just finished on Anti-Mage, but obviously, again, it's not like a tool of, oh, hey, we got our Battle Fury, let's fight on the Anti-Mage now. So this is a tough decision to make for RNG, it feels like, in terms of defending this.
Yeah, it's weird because Anti-Mage TPs to the tier 1 top as if they were going to try and fight this, but that would be dangerous. You've already got Hokori set up with a Tombstone here, and you don't have the rest of vision, but Kisses is going to lead the way. That's a good way to open up this fight, but Analog instantly reacts with the Rolling Thunder. Somnus moving in to try and snatch the Roche, but he hasn't got enough damage. And he just used both his Astra steps, cannot hang around. Instead, Lumiere will get his hands on the Aegis. RNG will count their lucky stripes they didn't lose anyone in the process.
Yeah, and also the Tombstone placement was clutch as well. It's going to wear off here in a second. But with the Tombstone being down, I know they didn't have Ravage, but you mentioned the Rolling Thunder too. They still had more than enough to make it a point of, if RNG was going to commit there, it was going to be very risky. And that's one of those, if you do commit, it doesn't go your way, all of a sudden you are a lot further behind than it feels like you should be. So I respect the safer play, certainly, from RNG of not overcommitting to that, but you do have an Aegis now in Medusa, and that Aya Scotty is going to be basically online in the next couple of minutes now.
Yeah, and then we have to compare to the Anti-Mage. Sorry to do this to you, Ghost, but not exactly looking spooky in this game. He's on his way towards his Manta style. Even then, I don't think he's ready to now take on this Dusa, not with the Scotty factor. Sure, you can talk about the Manning and Burn, the Mana Void plays that can come out, but I think RNG lack the ability to 5-man, whereas if you look at Hokori, not just the Medusa, but all the elements around it is designed to fight 5-on-5.
Yeah, and it's not that all-in 5v5 like, oh, you need to wait for all these big ultimates. I mean, yes, Tidehunter's Ravage is, of course, the big one, but Rolling Thunder, Tombstone, a bit shorter of cooldowns that they can rely on for these fights. And speaking of Rolling Thunder, again, Broodmother in the awkward spot. The Bushwhack comes out, though, and there is the Sharpshooter.
Silly Spooter, what are you doing here? Roche has already been taken. He's just trying to get back to that top side, back where he felt he belonged. Somnus will at least try to claim some vengeance for him, but unable to do so. Gardic will walk it off. Wraith Pact Horror has just proven frustrating for both sides, but more frustrating in the end for RNG is Lumiere is in place to take out that tier 1 top.
Yeah, so he has that axe on a Void Spirit, but feel like it's as potent of a tool as he hopes for, as unfortunately unable to even kill the support and Undying there. And speaking of Undying again, Tombstone's ready. Ravage, excuse me, is also ready to go for Vitaly, so they have that tool and the Stone Gaze.
And just to your point around like they're not all in on teamfight, it's not as much an issue whether they are or aren't all in teamfight. It's just more to do with how not on teamfight RNG are. They have one hero that likes teamfights, the Snapfire. The rest of them are these pickoff type heroes. You know, the Void Spirit, the Anti-Mage, the Bane, the Brood. They don't want to encounter 5 heroes. They want to snowball one kill after another. Gotta give so much credit to Hokori in the way they don't enable that. There's always 2 to 3 heroes together at any given time.
I love this medallion pickup from Tidehunter, and he's going the Solar Crest on top of that. Of course, for the upgrade there. Hold that thought, though. Anti-Mage. Another stun. It hits. He's going to Ravage for this. No, the Bushwhack comes out. He's actually slept, though.
The Nightmare saved him.
Maybe? The Ravage reaches! Out comes the Stone Gaze and the Mystic Snake and the kill. You knew he wanted to Ravage. The Nightmare almost saving him. But he says, no, no, no. The maximum distance, it connects. And Anti-Mage is dead for 40.
And that Nightmare almost saved the day. Bane, he came in, X-Nova managed to get the Nightmare off onto the Tide, but you just see the impact I'm talking about, this Hoodwink. Once you fully charge that Sharpshooter, which you can easily do in that situation, that damage, it's essentially, it's close to pure. Like, you don't have that magic resistance anymore from the counterspell. That gets removed first. You get broke, and then you take the damage. And now, look what they've been forced to do to defend. Committing everything here. Guarding is going to be brought down, but Somnus in too deep. Dissimulate coming off cooldown soon. Instead, the Cookie will save him. The Medusa does still stand, though, so RNG need to be careful about hopping out of their base here.
Yeah, Hokori just going to go for the reset. Medusa, just a minute remaining about. Dying, of course, trying to resurrect. Chalice, he's still chasing. He's going to slow down the Olakor. Spider Sting on him, but Rune Mother. Uh-oh, I don't know about this. Yeah, he's in trouble. Analog goes back in now with a Rolling Thunder. Another bounce, maybe going to be the kill. They will get Bane in the process. Anti-Mage is back in, though. The Mana Void, he still had about half mana left, so not the biggest explosion. Ghost is dead. No, the counter spell. Oh, it keeps him alive barely. But the shell crashes. Gets the kill. TP out at least for the Void Spirit. But Anti-Mage, that was a ballsy decision that did not pay off. And now Snapfire, also in trouble, is dead, in fact. A triple kill for Analog. RNG trying to take advantage of these cooldowns, not being ready necessarily, but it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, if that was a ballsy decision, they are now they've been neutered. They can't take fights at all. I mean, the RNG even thinking they can for a second is surprising. I think they get baited in by the fact there's no Ravage and they want to make a play, but there's so much that you can still utilize around this lineup. Not only have they still got that Aegis and Medusa, which ends up getting the best value possible as it now expires, you're still dealing with this Sharpshooter factor. In fact, the Bane would have been gone instantly if it wasn't for the beautiful Nightmare dodge at the start of this fight. One small detail, they were doing a good job of stopping Hoodwink from hunting. Chalice kept cutting down the trees before the follow-up Bushwhack could connect. But it's still just cute plays in an overall bad fight to take. I mean, you just see Ghost comes in, and it doesn't matter that you have this Mana Void at all. Lumiere is so tanky now with the Skadi that won't be enough to kill him on its own.
Well, and like I said, he used it when he still had a good half mana bar left anyway, so
yeah,
it really just didn't do nearly enough damage that it needed to, that he certainly hoped for with how confident he was kind of jumping in right there.
Yeah,
it's the play.
It's a case of he can't stand there long enough to take all the mana away. Just look at his items. I mean, he's irrelevant. If he had a Manta, sure, but he's not there yet. Oi, oi, oi. Speaking of not there anymore, X-Nova just gets deleted in the mid lane.
This is all Hokori. We mentioned game one, fairly even, and yes, Hokori started to take a decent lead, and eventually we saw what happened in the 60-plus minute game. This is a game where right now, I mean, on paper, Medusa versus Anti-Mage, a 60-plus minutes wouldn't be out of the question, but with the way we're looking right now, Hokori, they could finish this sooner than later if they are looking to do so at least.
Yeah, they're setting themselves up for a situation where the next Roche could end the game. This is the last out of tough.
Minutes wouldn't be out of the question, but with the way we're looking right now, Hokori, they could finish this sooner than later if they are looking to do so at least.
Yeah, they're setting themselves up for a situation where the next Roche could end the game. This is the last out of tower for RNG, and they are lacking map control. It's crazy as well, because they have heroes that can split push, but the problem is still they can't directly fight. I do like that they have started to do this, by the way. Like, RNG have to just spread out and push the lanes out. Your job is to delay the game until AM exists as a hero.
He is here, but he needs to farm. BKB is what he's looking for next. 2,000 gold saved up. So Ghost is doing what he can to get there, but Hokori smartly has been restricting the map quite a bit. As I say that they're on their side currently, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them move out, or perhaps they're going to position around Roshan as, yeah, it's about 45 seconds for the red timer. And look to secure that when he does eventually come up. But Medusa, does she already have? Yes, she does. She already has the butterfly coming out.
Oh, God.
As that gets delivered. That is a massive item as well now.
Yeah, so the other interesting thing I was looking at is RNG, like Chalice is going towards this Axe. I do like it. I think the idea of it is you're meant to just detect early ganks and get out. Problem is, like, Hokori rather, are playing so quickly that that's not going to matter. Like, you know, you could split push what you want, but I'm more concerned the damage they'll do in one lane compared to you in two. Chalice. Okay. Yeah, he thinks he's running towards safety. He's running into the waiting arms of the rest of Hokori here. But they go left.
Yep, they thought he went left.
Dire's
So he is in safety. He manages to get out, and the
That will get
Axe
de-warded.
needs 15 more golds.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that gets de-warded. Like, I'd be very surprised if Hokori don't sniff out this vision now, because that was just, like, it's weird that you see these heroes up here and they just naturally get out like that.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Look at Gardic just being the Roshan spawn guy. Unfortunately, he's going to have to wait a long time if he's going to notify his team of Roshan, because we see 2.5 minutes. And, I mean, that's to the favor of RNG. That's a little bit of that RNG, well, go figure, going in their favor. In terms of the Roshan respawn, because the longer that takes, the more time is being bought for this Anti-Mage and the Void Spirit, of course, but specifically the Anti-Mage, who he now has the BKB being delivered.
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to get RNG like that in their favor, they should probably just start picking crit-based heroes in the future games. Maybe a little PA comes out. But in this game, they don't really have that big crit. They don't have that big hitter. Instead, the big hitter's on the other side. Lumiere moving in, starting to poke and prod his way through the tower. And you can see they have no intention to come back. Anti-Mage is going to turn it into a trade, but it is going to be slower.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
Yeah, and how much slower is the question? This is a range Rax kill, and they don't even get tier 3 because of the glyph on both sides. I mean, it's going to be a melee Rax kill by the time the tier 3 tower is dead at this point.
I mean,
So
take a second lane. Like, I actually don't think that RNG, like, I don't think that Hokori have to leave. They could probably just go mid as well. Because you can't do the same. Like, look at the difference.
Yeah.
Like, RNG, even if they get the lane, which is taking a long time, the tier 2s are up. Analog, he's up to no good in the mid lane. Somnus has been found out. Now, for him, no reinforcements are coming, but looks like that distraction might enable someone elsewhere. BKB comes out from Ghost. He'll look to make his escape, but the Stone Gaze is carousing him. He can't get out. Bushwhack is coming off cooldown, and they did clip with the slow. Reinforcements are coming, but looks like that distraction might enable someone elsewhere. BKB comes out from Ghost. He'll look to make his escape, but the Stone Gaze is carousing him. He can't get out. Bushwhack is coming off cooldown, and they did clip with the slow.
Yep.
So close!
Missed. Oh, he's going to escape, isn't he? Or is he? Analog? Diffusal? Oh, they're trying, but they just don't have enough to stop him. Okay.
That
I
was
mean,
uncomfortable.
what do
Ricky,
we...
that was like, I think that was less than 50 units away from that Bushwhack connecting.
Well, so to that point, though, I feel like RNG is actually very happy with what happened right there. Because, yes, they lost their top racks, but they got a tier 3 and a melee racks in return. And when they're down as much as they are right now and trying to play the recovery game with an anti-mage, you certainly take that.
Yeah, I thought they were going to go for a second set. They're now going to go looking for heads. Pings are coming out around the Roche. No one knows if it's up just yet. See, they just dodge and Lumiere the best they can. The spit comes out. Kardik almost going down to the Spooters. But Chalice not able to convert that kill, and Roche is now up. RNG yet to gain that information. They do have the level 2 kisses to play with.
God, that damage. Solar Crest.
Absurd. Yeah, Solar Crest plus Gush. Nice armor. Wrong Fun has been pumped. a Ghost. He wants to go in here. He's going to blink in pretty early. Roll Thunder now coming in with the counter attack. Ravage form, and nice snatch by Lumiere. They don't get the kill on Roche, but they get the key objective. Aegis now gone, but RNG need to run because Hokori are on the hunt. Chalice is going to be slowed down. 4-star through. Broodmother is gone. Kaka is being hunted for as well. They do at least eliminate the Aegis straight away, but they still don't get their hands on it themselves, and Ghost is going to have to buy some space here.
There is a double damage rune in the bottom. If there's any way that they can see that, which it doesn't look like it's going to be the case, you picked it up and then go just push into the base would be massive. But yeah, it's just going to sit there. In fact, over here, Bane is going to be the one that ends up picking it up for his side. So a bit of a takeaway there. But yeah, this decision certainly makes sense for Hokori with Void Spirit especially being dead for another 25 seconds. But yeah, I mean, it was the play of trying to snatch the Aegis. Lumi just a little bit too quick to pick it up. And even though it was burnt right away, it's still a big victory for Hokori there. However, the initiation, the cookie's done in. The tombstone's put down immediately, though. And as we've seen before, RNG is not the biggest fans of taking a fight into Hokori, especially when they're all ready to go at the base. And that's exactly what's happening here once again. This time, they do not have the counter push happening other than a creep wave that's pushing the bottom lane a little bit. So they might get a range racks down there. But the range racks did in the middle lane, disciplinated in. Here we go. Titaner going to be pulled in. But back in line, Snapfire. Rolling Thunder through from Analog. Snapfire being heavily sold thanks to the eye of Scotty. Oh, the Nightmare saves him, and it's going to save him in the end with the cookie away as well. Some way, somehow, Snapfire stays alive.
Oh man, the spinner snare is baiting them in because they keep ruining them on the exits. They're looking to fish for a kill, but they're unable to do so. And they're taking way too long to even try. I think they just need to let them leave. Vitaly's going to have the Ravage in 45 seconds. You just have to accept you're fighting into that. And you know, back to that Roche pit, one key detail is like when you still pick up the Aegis, the Mana Void is gone. That's what allowed them to go into the base. That threat was no longer there. But this anti-mage is still threatening to other beings. Gardic will at least keep them from chasing further as he retreats. And looks like the rest of Hokori will get out.
Well, we saw eventually when Hokori went back, and another big reason was because that creep wave was becoming a factor. You look at the tier 4 tower in the Hokori's base, and it's at half life just about. It's just before it. So that's how much that creep wave was able to do. Hokori is going to constantly have to pay attention to that. Now, I will say we saw once Medusa got there, you know, she cleaned it up pretty quickly and easily, and you know, got plenty of efficient farm out of it, sure, but. Anti-Mage, he is the next in line in the net worth. He has definitely recovered as RNG needed him to. And he is working now towards his own Eye of Scotty next. So he does continue to be an item or even two behind the Medusa. But RNG, it's been now for pretty much all this game. They're needing to play the longer game because Hokori got that early lead. And that's just where it is at this point for RNG.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, if they didn't contest the Roche and it come out the way it did, like, this is not just one lane, this is probably game. So they kept themselves alive, but RNG, like, they got a very limited time to get Ghost fully online. The Skadi, I think, is the go point. Once he has Skadi plus the Mana Void, Lumiere can't get away. It's very difficult. You can see, actually, Lumiere, he's playing for aggression, which I do respect, but it's a dangerous game he's playing. He went Blink Dagger instead of Hurricane Pike, so doesn't have a way of disengaging from this anti-mage, but definitely has a strong way of engaging with his intent being to get their Swift Link.
We did see in the previous fight, and noticing here, Hoodwink does have a Force Staff. He also has a Ghost Scepter himself, but yeah, the Force Staff is, of course, going to be one of those tools that it's where, you know, in these coordinated games, you're relying on your support to, you know, play that role of Force Staffing if need be, but yeah, I certainly see what you're saying there. More aggressive playstyle himself. They're smoked up, by the way, going into the Radiant jungle.
I wonder if it's like the idea that the anti-mages often get nullifiers in late game as well. So like, if I put a Hurricane Pike, like my spot's kind of wasted there, right? So like, that supports do it. If it's good, it's good. If not, what to do? I do like this idea on Tide though. I don't know if he changed it. He was heading towards the Tendrils of the Deep. I think he changed his mind. It's still a good game for it because RNG only have one hero in their lineup that has a BKB.
Yeah, he's not doing it right now, as you mentioned that, but the pipe is also some pretty good value here, so understandable.
Yeah, a lot of magical damage from RNG. I think especially if your goal is to win with Roche, then the kisses have been annoying the pit. Well, looks like Void Spirit's going to try to be annoying. Has to instantly leave. Already used both of the Astral Steps, though. Will be clipped onto. Nice follow-up damage to Sharpshooter. Italy. He has got the Ravage, and anti-mage, he jumps into it! But he's saved by the fact they didn't get the pushback. They cut the trees with the tombstone, so Ghost gets out!
Finley's like, yeah, I meant to do that. Oh boy. I mean, they kill Sapphire as well. We already see the buyback on Bay, but yeah, he was trying to hit the Void Spirit clearly, who dissimulated away, but instead he happened to catch the anti-mage right as he blinked in before the BKB. Or you know what, maybe we'll just give him the benefit of the doubt. Well played, Vitaly, as far as the timing goes. Now, they don't kill him no matter what, but still, they made it damn close because of that. But yeah, that was crazy.
And you can feel the shock and the surprise in that moment. What ends up happening there is that the Bushwhack gets thrown out by the Hoodwink, but as soon as that happens, the Tombstones drop. The Tombstone deletes the trees, which means you don't have the follow-up stun. That's why Ghost is alive. He BKBs, gets out at about 400 HP. This man has no right to be living.
That would have been a hell of a way to go if it actually was successful, but uh-oh. Catch on an Analog, and Analog's dead. He has buyback at least for the side of Hokori, but he's out for 80 seconds, and now it's RNG's turn to capitalize on finding a hero that was somewhat isolated.
Yeah, Pango, a decent one, right? He's been, I'd say, the best initiation. He's been the initiation. You see how confident he is in the way he's rolling in. Definitely expecting the roll and fun to come in, or the cooldown rather, when he gets to level 25, if he gets there before this ends.
Heaven's Halberd on Broodmother. Go with that Wraith Pact. We talked about the Ags a bit with the Spinner Snare. Playing very utility heavy on the Brood. It's Vitaly doing what he can to push this back.
Just love the idea of cooking in the catapult, like, it's done firing, let's just throw it at the structure. Let's see if that does any damage. Obviously doesn't, but comedial thought there. Minute and 20 seconds away from Roche potentially being up. Everyone will be available for this fight. I think the key detail that's going to matter is having buybacks. And you can see the Ghost is not saving for it whatsoever. He's fully committing to each item as it comes.
Yeah, and this would be the time, obviously, for Hokori to hope for a fight and get the kill on him, but easier said than done now with that Eye of Scotty, as you're pointing in. That, I think that's, if anything, why he's, confident to get that, of course. Especially knowing Roshan could potentially be up, but it's still a little bit longer, so maybe Figures has enough time to farm the buyback before a Roshan is up, and naturally the next fight would take place. So, and for what it's looking like, about 35 seconds on the red timer. We'll see what happens once it turns yellow there. But yeah, level 20 on Anti-Mage as well, the decent one there. That's a 250 blink cast range going around. Let's see who's picking up what, but
that's very good. It means he can blink into a Ravage from further away.
Jeez.
There's no way it happens twice, right? That was so unlucky, the timing. Like, you don't want to BKB straight away, but you definitely got to feel for him. Like, you don't expect things to erupt.
His heart
like
skipped a little bit there, for sure. He's, oh no, not like this. But no,
he's like smashing his keyboard, like BKB, BKB. Okay, it's gone off, thank God. And it's crazy as well, because if he died there, I think he was like 50 gold away from buyback. That would have been the end of the game.
Definitely could have been. So Roshan, about a minute and a half more remaining. Tier 4 items are starting to come out as well. Both teams postured around the Roshan pit for the time being. The Swift Blink.
It's like you get Havoc Hammer, but I don't feel like you have any hero you necessarily want to have the Havoc Hammer, which is annoying because I've always rated that item highly. Basically since its inception. Like, it's such a good item to have when you have this bulky strength offlaner. Like, heroes like Centaur can just insta-clear creep waves. But no hero on RNG that wants it.
It's not even my birthday.
Somnus positioned towards the mid lane, but Hokori's sitting on their jungle currently. And again, obviously waiting for that Roshan spawn, the vision inside. But it's not happening for another 40 seconds. Both teams understand how much of a priority that needs to be, if anything, to force out the fight.
There's an air of confidence about RNG's positioning here. It's like off the side, but it's pretty wide and out of position. They are playing around their vision, but that means they've got limited vision around Roche. And the reason they get away with this is that they have this Ags Broodmother. The Spinner Snare, like, it's just signaling. So there you go, it roots. Like, okay, well, they're at Roche. Why are they at Roche right now? Is Roche up? Spider's instantly going to check. And a new line gets built.
Bottom lane, you cannot forget about this. Now, Medusa did a good job of setting the illusions down there as mid lane to dissimulate away from Void Spirit. But yeah, she set her illusions down there for the Manta style to push out the lane because Anti-Mage was pushing it in. and eventually it did get him to fall back. Now another creep wave is coming in, but Roshan is up. So this is the timing now. Hokori's in. You look at this positioning that we've been referring to from RNG. It's been much more on the right side of the map, but they need to start running over now, yeah.
The spinner and snares are actually getting them in position quick enough. That's a DD on the Medusa, but she got slowed down. RNG are hesitant, however. They've got the level 2 kisses, but no entry, no info right now. They'll try to get it, but nice use of the Stone Gaze. Lumiere will secure the Aegis, and Analog will push back any attempt to RNG from responding.
Yeah, not only the Stone, it was really the Rolling Thunder coming out from Pango, especially with that action, the shield crash effect. If you fight into that with the Tombstone down, the Stone Gaze, etc., you are losing that fight if you're RNG, and of course they completely understood that, so goes to show you that how much of a priority that was certainly for Hokori, but understandable. As, yeah, the Aegis and the cheese in the hands of Medusa now. And she's going to start making her way bottom lane to push this out, and understandable because that's the one set of racks, of course, that's been destroyed on your side.
Ah, and it looks like Vitaly does now have the wonderful Tendrils of the Deep. Like a mini Ravage. It's quite a impactful spell in this type of game as well when you consider what I said before, that there's still only one BKB in play. There are now, however, 2 Aeon discs, or will be soon. Somnus is holding on to buyback, but heading towards it, and Snapfire does already have one.
Might come into play here soon if he's not careful. He's going to turn around. But, yeah, that was close, but turns around, going to be fine. But you see Lumi, again, we mentioned at the base, pushing out the bottom lane. Look at where they are now. They're pushing towards RNG's base down here, and can RNG actually defend this time? Well, Antimate is going to cut the creep wave way over there. We'll see.
Still a second wave, though. And yeah, that Wraith Pact Aura stopped them instantly killing the first wave. So Lumiere's just going to park here. Tier 1 tower, Tier 3 tower will be gone. Just a matter of whether we can get more of these remnants.
I love the tombstone right on top of him, too. It's like if you want to jump, you're going to have to deal with this right away. Oh, Anti-Mage in.
They do jump. Ooh, Analog on the backside does get the magic immune just in time. Ghost able to blink out. They do find Hoodwink, but now pursuing deeper, looking for more control into the Void Spirit. Nice Ravage follow-up. Somnus now dead for 85. Hoodwink will commit the buyback. Anti-Mage now without BKB. The only thing he can do is cut the wave.
Yeah, there's no way you can fight this now. With your Void Spirit dead for 70 more seconds, you just have to cut the wave and go for a counter push yourself. But Medusa's in. She's going to be nightmared up. They're just trying to stay alive on the side of RNG and make this take as long as possible is all that you can do. Anti-Mage coming back in. No Mana Void even either. That's on cooldown for another 30 seconds for him. So the rack's certainly falling, but Lumi trying to catch that pain. Continuing to be a little bit distracted by it. The Wraith Pack going away. There's fortification. I will say RNG is doing a hell of a job at preventing this push from actually happening, but eventually the damage is going to be enough. And down goes the melee racks. So mid lane, it's just this. This is mega creeps at this point. Can they actually hold it? Still 30 seconds. The Cookie's stun in. They're going in as Anti-Mage in the back lines is going for the kill onto the Hoodwink, but you can't even kill him. He's got a Ghost Scepter. He's going to stay alive. Brood Mother, she's broken. Lumi just standing here, gratitude as you'd expect. There's a Mana Void. Doesn't necessarily do enough damage, though. Now Anti-Mage trying to run. Buybacks on both the Brood and Bane. The Rax is still up, but the heroes are dying on the side of RNG.
Just wipe them out now. Karka's in too deep. Charles can't assist him. You do at least keep the Anti-Mage alive, but what can you do with this BKB is a big question mark. Mana Void's still on cooldown for 50 seconds, and that's the only way you're getting through the Medusa once, let alone twice. Stone Gaze will be committed. Mega creeps will be achieved, and they will back off for the time being, but it looks like Somnus wants to commit. He needs to find value here. Silencers are going to be spread out across the team. Cookie in deep. They do connect on the Tide Hunter. Buyback forced out the Undying, but the Bushwhack does connect. Ghost controlled up, and you see Lumiere is just going to push back the rest of RNG so they can separate Ghost and maybe take him out together.
I mean, Lumi still has the Aegis, by the way, so yeah. He's just fine. Gonna pop the BKB, and Brood will be able to kite away, and I think Hokori is realizing now they're just gonna go for the TP play out, and they are successful on Medusa at least. Now Hoodwink left behind, he's out for 90, no buyback, and neither does Undying, as that is a dieback for him.
Yeah, it's double dieback support, but like, the more I think about it, it doesn't matter. How does RNG get down a lane quick enough? Especially with those cooldowns, like you look at the cooldowns for a dieback at this stage, you're like, how's that not over 100 seconds? You know, these are supports, so they will be back in a relatively decent time. And man, the tough part for RNG is in these type of situations, when you see a fight like this happen, your upside is like, oh, maybe you can take Roche. No, that was already taken before this engagement. The Aegis is about to expire. There's still tier 2 towers to worry about, which means you have to contest with Glyph. RNG now have to contest with Mega Creeps, and it has to be said, the push isn't that strong. It's more or less anti-mage. Even Somnus is going to struggle to push out these lanes consistently.
Oh, they are doing so for now. They see that double damage rune, by the way, up at top. I'm assuming they're eventually waiting for Anti-Mage to go pick it up or something, but they are going to get the tier 2 mid, and that is not the last Aster tower. There is still the top tier 2 that is in favor of Hokori up there, so certainly want to address that. But yeah, Ghost is going towards the double damage. We mentioned the supports, the diebacks, but Undying's up in 5, and Hoodwink's up in 15. Pango's up in 5 as well, so no buyback will be needed for him. They might get tier 3, but I can't see them getting more than that.
No, it's annoying for them as well, because Pangley had buyback, but they couldn't force it. Instead, Tendrils are deep. Arca can connect with the Chalice. You can see they were thinking about going for that kill, but they're not tempted.
And look at RNG's base, by the way.
Oh, good lord. They have to go. They have to fight right now. They're going to jump in. Ghost gets bashed, though. Lumiere is out of mana, but he has the magic immunity. Anti-Mage has to leave. The attempt to get Medusa is going to be a fail. Somnus is brought down. Snapfire will also fall. Reinitiation from Ghost, but it's not good enough. He gets caught out. The Ravage is on point. Ghost will look to retreat, but even if he gets away, Hokori are now coming for your base. They get the vision. They get the big bad kill. No buyback, insta GG, and it will be a 2-0 for South America.
Yeah, RNG, they had to make the play, so certainly not going to fault them for that moment as far as engaging when they did, because as I was pointing out, right as that engagement happened, their base was just being annihilated by the Mega Creeps. They had to go, they went for it, the all-in strategy. At that point, though, Hokori was just too big. And obviously, Medusa was the biggest factor there, but the ravages of Tidehunter are certainly massive, and Analog on that Pango doing what he needed to do throughout the fight, too. So